Okay, so this is part 3 about how my borderline personality disorder developed. I'm talking about my childhood experiences leading up into early adulthood as well. Borderline personality disorder, being a personality disorder, generally develops due to trauma while your brain is forming. The brain is fully formed around the time you turn 25. So I'm going through step by step all the experiences during that time period that led to my borderline personality disorder. So we discussed my dad and that relationship or lack thereof. I don't have a relationship now because even as an adult, he always had an excuse of why not to put forth any effort into our relationship. I would all the time invite him over and he'd have an excuse, For instance, the last Thanksgiving I actually spoke to him was last year. I emailed him a month in advance. And I invited him to Thanksgiving dinner with my family. So that you guys know, I don't really have a relationship with the majority of my family for one reason or another. And that's with both sides of my family. There are a few people I do have a relationship with, but very few. So anyway, I invited him to Thanksgiving dinner. And he said, well, I have to see what my sister's doing. He didn't say my sister. I just didn't want to say my aunt's name on here. And I was like, well, have you gotten an invite yet? And he said, no, I just want to see what they're doing for Thanksgiving, And I was like, well, why is it anytime I'm the first person to invite you to do something and you haven't received an invite from anybody else, why is it you always have to check with other people? Why can't you just give me an answer? It feels like I'm a last resort. If somebody else isn't doing something, that's the only time you'll come and actually spend time with me and develop a relationship with my family. You have grandkids that I would like to see you develop a relationship with. And he's like, well, I'm on oxygen, and I got to make sure I got enough oxygen. I said, well, bring your extra tank, And he's saying this all the while smoking 2 packs of cigarettes a day. And then he says, well, my vision isn't what it used to be, and I can't drive at night. And I said, well, that's fine because we eat an early dinner, and when we eat, it's usually still light outside. You can stay like an hour after dinner and still be home before it gets dark. And then it's just excuse after excuse after excuse until finally I got fed up and I called him out on all his excuses. And so that's when he'd say, or he said, well, you changed your last name and that really hurt me deeply. And I haven't gotten over that. Mind you, I changed my last name. It's been 12 years because I changed it right before I got married. And at the time that I changed it, I didn't really have much of a relationship with my dad either. I had invited him to both of my weddings. I had been married previously. And he declined both invites for one reason or another. So I had changed my last name. I took my maternal last name. And so anytime we got into it or whatever, he would always throw that back in my face, saying that how me changing my last name hurt him deeply. Well, he's got 2 other boys that have his last name. Me not passing on his last name isn't going to do anything. He can still continue his last name onto other generations. My eldest brother only has girls, so that's... And I guess my younger brother only has girls too. So, I mean, his personal line for last names is done. The son he had when he cheated on my mom doesn't have his last name either. The only people with his last name are from his brothers. So they're his nephews. But anyway, I digress. Anytime we'd get into it like that, he would throw that back in my face that I changed my last name and how deeply that hurt him. But the way I see it is, he was never really part of my life. He never took an active part of my life. I would always invite him to Christmas concerts and for school Christmas concerts and stuff. And he would never show up. I'd be there watching for him and he'd never show up. So I haven't talked to him since. I gotta go ahead and I'm at Walmart. I need to call in my order, say that I'm here. So